Hi there, welcome again for another episode of Rappler Talk. And we take a break from the usual workplace guests that we have, but this afternoon we'd like to talk to a foreigner in our land. I met this guy about 3 years ago. We spoke about him joining a group called Gawad Kalinga Enchanted Farm as a farmer and someone who would take care of their chicken. I didn't think this guy would last, but he did. And that's the point of our discussion right now. What is this Frenchman doing in a farm in Bulacan? Guys, please help me in welcoming Louis Fa. You pronounce it as Fa, right?
Tama, Fa.
But the way it's spelled is Faure.
Yes.
Okay.
Faure.
Welcome to Rappler Talk.
Thank you. Thank you, Boris.
How are you?
Really good.
Uh,
Thanks for having me.
well, thank you for having time for us.
Of course.
Yeah, so the pivotal question that we have in the promotion is that we said, what is this Frenchman doing
Yeah.
here?
Why is this Frenchman doing farming?
Why are you doing farming?
Why am I doing farming?
Yeah.
I guess because I wanted to see if I was capable of doing something different than what I was always prepared for. So when I got here, they asked me, do you want to raise chickens? I said, all right, sounds like something new and something what I want to do. And it ended up me spending almost 3 years raising chickens.
Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Let's backtrack a bit. So you're from Paris,
Yeah.
France. You graduated from what school?
It's called HEC. It's a business school near Paris.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're planning to be a businessman? You're planning to join big multinationals
Well,
back then?
That's the thing. I mean, it's always confusing how you go through high school and college, and then you actually target as high as you can. Then you get there and like, why did I actually choose to be there?
Okay.
So I didn't have a clear vision of what I wanted to do after school. That's for sure. But most of my classmates will actually pursue going to audit, finance, or marketing.
And that's what we want to converse with you on, particularly Louis. We want to discover your journey towards finding out that purpose.
Yeah.
So how did you get to know about Gawad Kalinga?
Well, we might not know much about the Philippines, but in the business schools like mine, Gawad Kalinga comes every year to give talks. It's the case for about 25 universities around the country. So GK was actually a reference point for everyone who wanted to experience social entrepreneurship.
Okay.
It's kind of top of the list today. So when I was looking for what I wanted to do for my gap year, it seemed like this was interesting.
So it was a gap year.
A gap year. Yeah.
So it's a time where you're not really doing anything. It's a break from school.
Yeah, not exactly. You still have to have an internship agreement. You have to be validated by the school if you're allowed to go to this organization or not.
Okay.
You're supposed to basically do internships for 1 year.
Okay.
But the thing is, my school is, I guess, open-minded enough, flexible enough to send me out to the Philippines and not ask anything from me. Because obviously raising chickens was far from what I was trained for.
Okay, so you went here in the Philippines under Gawad Kalinga. You were assigned to Enchanted Farm.
Exactly, yeah.
And then it was in Angat, Bulacan, right?
Exactly.
And they made you take care of chickens.
Yeah.
For
exactly.
how long?
Well, originally my job was to try to help a group of farmers stop losing money raising chickens. And then it evolved into, why don't we just do things better instead of just trying not to lose money? So we moved into raising native organic chickens, free range. And that, we called it free birds, and lasted for, until now it's still up, but we've reduced the population to about just 60 chickens that we keep for training.
Okay.
But for, let's say, 3 years, I was really focused on raising chickens. And then my role has evolved last year.
And what has it evolved to?
It has evolved to something that was relevant, is actually helping my fellow foreigners, fellow French, in going through their own experience of the farm. So I've been in charge of interns, in charge of volunteers for 1.5 years, helping them basically process, understand what was going on, what are the kind of learnings that they were getting from the experience.
Oh, correct me here. So your internship is really just supposed to last for a year, am I correct?
6 months, actually.
6 months, and then after it ended, you decided to stay.
It was a continuous, okay, let's just extend. I'm learning so much from this place that wouldn't make any sense to go back right now. So let's just extend. And I've been pushing it until I realized, okay, let's just take a few years here and work for this place. Really work
take a few years. And when you say a few years, you meant like 2 years, 3 years?
Originally, I think in my mind, I had 2, 3 years, something like that.
Okay. So you're at your threshold in a way from going back 3 years from now.
Exactly.
Okay.
4 years from now. So.
But now you decide to take on another role, and that is
Exactly.
to train interns like you back then, get exposure in the farm.
Yeah. I mean, as I was saying, I was basically asked to help those interns go through their experience of the farm. And if at the beginning I thought it was just a coordination role, making sure that they meet their mentors, that they are onboarded on the farm, it actually has evolved into, okay, tell me what does it make you understand? What does it make you feel or see about yourself that you hadn't noticed in a different context? Actually trying to process the whole experience of the farm and help them understand. And that basically brought me to some sort of coach them, which is something I wasn't, again, prepared for or expecting, but I guess accepted. And that's why now my role has really become not coordinating anymore internship, but really heading a new department that we call training and development, that is actually about bringing this coaching, this training to another level that would allow us to make sure that more people can go through the experience of GK or the Enchanted Farm and get out of it as nation builders.
And this is a period of 6 months, and it's mainly composed of foreigners.
So far, yeah.
Initially, it started out with people coming from France.
Exactly.
Now you've expanded. So, what are the countries that are involved in this internship program in the farm?
So far, it's still Americans and French.
Okay.
French for 95% of them.
95%, 5%
Americans
Americans.
for 5%, maybe
Okay.
6. But the point now is to bring it further. So we'll try to go to Australia because we also have good bonds with them.
Okay.
And through our platform, us being in France, we already reach out to Belgium and to Netherlands. Let's see now where it can go further. But we also realize that we've been focusing a lot on the foreigners because somehow, strangely enough, it's easier to attract them to Angad Bulacan than the locals. Now we also want to redesign, rebrand, recommunicate on this experience for it to be relevant for locals, because GK has as a goal to end poverty for the Philippines. And for that, we need to be able to onboard the Filipinos as well. And of course, Filipinos are still the great majority of volunteers in GK. Maybe out of the whole Gawad Kalinga, maybe 99% are Filipinos.
Of course.
But we still want to be able to bring more millennials from the Philippines to actually go through the experience of the Enchanted Farm in GK.
What's the mission, Louis? Or why are you bringing all these foreigners, millennials, Filipino or foreigners, to actually go through this 6-month program in the farm?
Well, again, so far it's been 6 months. We're going to try to make it into different, more modulable formats. But the whole point is allow us to take this step back and look at ourselves and see the things that, we can be proud of, but also the things we want to work on. Because I see my generation and I see, we're blessed with a lot, and I was personally blessed with a lot, but we're confused on what do we do with this? Where do we bring it? Something for sure is we all know that we want to do something great out of it, but we don't know where to start. We don't know in which direction. We don't know with who.
Okay.
So I think what we're trying to do now is to create that space that allows us to redefine the things. And what I mean by that, it means being able to reconnect to ourselves, understanding better what are our core strengths, what are also the things that we're not as good at, but also being able to work with others, connect with others, and eventually put it at the service of a greater purpose. I think that's an aspiration that we have. But today we're in a world that is not yet ready for us somehow, because we don't find that around us. So we basically try to create that space.
It's a beginning. It's
a beginning.
It's a start, and you guys are pioneering it. And I think it's wonderful to bring people in the Philippines, to expose them to the realities of poverty. You spoke about purpose. You want to bring them to a higher purpose. What's your purpose? Why are you here?
You know how hard this question is. Why am I here? That has evolved, obviously. The answer to that question has evolved. At first, for me, it was, all right, here's for me, I have the privilege to have this parenthesis in the Philippines. Let's learn from it. And I was still seeing my experience in GK in the Philippines as my university, the follow-up of my university. But there came a point where it was not about just learning from this place anymore, but it was about accepting that I could also have an influence on that place, on this country, and beyond that country, on my own country. And I've seen it with the interns, the volunteers that I've been working with over the last year and a half, that because of the Filipinos, they have come back to Paris, they have come back to France, not just Paris, as change makers. By the way we see now they're working, the organizations that they've started, what they also joined as organizations. So I believe my purpose now is somehow to help the Filipinos first realize how much they have to teach to my country, and basically maybe use the platform of the Philippines to make my fellow French, but also somehow my fellow millennials, I'd like to say, because it's beyond France now, understand their own poverty, which by that I mean all those limiting beliefs that we have. We might come from a privileged background, we're stuck into a very small definition of ourselves. I'll just take a quick parenthesis. I realized the other day when I was talking to the groups I was orienting in the farm, that something that made a difference for me was when I understood that making a choice is not going into an open door just because the door is open.
Okay.
It's into stopping in front and checking, is it where I want to go? Do I want to dig my own? Because now we're in a generation, in a time where we have so many open doors. But eventually we end up not really making choices. We rush into one because of pressure, because of fear, that we don't know what's going to happen next.
Okay.
So we're also on a survival mode. Strangely enough, I see the same behavior with the most privileged as I can see with the poorest. That our behavior of short-termism, reaction, fear. So to get back to your question, what's the purpose? What's my purpose? I think I'm trying here to use everything I've gone through to this farm, to GK, that made me basically a better person, this country, to bring it to millennials, to help them relieve their fears and make their own choices based on what they deeply, truly want. But as long as they're not able to connect with that they really want, they won't be able to make those choices.
Like personally, what have you learned from being here and being in the farm and the whole experience? So you say it's not just you and others actually coming here and help Filipinos and the situation of the poverty situation, but it's people learning from this platform, from the farm, from the Philippines in general, and from the Filipinos. But personally, what have you learned while being here?
Well, that's huge, but I try to spot. I guess it's about reconnecting, in a sense that it's about redefining who I am. Because when you land here, you come from Paris, so it means you're a foreigner, you're a Westerner, so you're already in a certain box. Not only in the eyes of others, but also in your own eyes. You come from a top school, so you're in another box, that you define yourself by the name of your school. You come from a certain social background, so this is another box. And this doesn't define who I am. It defines what I've been through, it defines what I've learned, but it doesn't define who Louis is.
Okay.
So I think one first core thing, when I'm talking about connecting, it's getting to know, okay, what is me? What can I actually do? What's maybe unique about myself? And now I'm starting to realize it, but it takes time. The second thing that I think I learned from the Filipinos is connected to others in a sense that I see them as people I want to journey with. When you look back, the relationship I would build would be more to fulfill a need.
Okay.
I would love to talk in front of a crowd because it would make me feel cool, great. I would want them to, at a certain point, admire me. But then I wouldn't be really here for them. And I think that's something I learned from the Filipinos. And maybe, GK as well, of course. But beyond the culture of GK, the culture of the Filipinos that I found so selfless. The ability to do things really, really for others
Mm-mm.
to a point that I had never seen before.
Mm.
And that's something that has grown in me. Like, because I think we were raised in a way maybe that makes us believe that we don't need anyone, that we have the answers on our own.
Mm.
And here they make you realize that no, you need everyone. And when you start realizing that you need people around you, that's when you actually impact them. That's when you actually
Okay.
do something.
So what you've learned basically is humility,
Yeah.
selflessness,
I'm in the process of learning. Yeah.
and connectivity
Yeah.
is codependency, is knowing that you're
Yeah.
connected with other. It's kind of similar to systems thinking. It's cause effect thing. You do something, it has a consequence or an effect to other people's lives.
Yeah.
Is that what you're realizing or discovering?
Yeah, in the sense that if we see each other as connected, then every move we make just makes everyone move.
Okay.
And I think it starts with the acceptance that, yes, we can inspire people, we can move others as much as we are moved by others.
Mm-mm.
I think this is when you start to tap a greater source of impact. Because when you just start from the principle that I can only impact you by a transaction, you want something from me, I'll give it to you. But when you start to realize that just by you, the fact that you're moving by the way you are, you're impacting people around you without having to transact,
Okay.
then that's when you actually become transformational. I mean, you're in a path of self-transformation, but also in helping others transform for the better.
Okay. So, can you tell me who you discovered? What you discovered about yourself? Who is Louis now? It's been 3 years, right? I know it's you're still in the journey.
Yeah.
But what did you discover about yourself?
Wow. That's getting deep. I guess
You started it. You're getting
That's true,
deeper.
that's true.
Just kidding.
I'm the one.
We're diving deeper.
I'm the
right?
one diving. You know, it's funny how in my family we have very visibly two sides. The Latin side with my dad from south of France, and the Scandinavian side from my mom. And I took on the second half. You see how white I am.
Okay.
So it means in the image of my family, I was always the cold, distant, intellectual, rational being. And I ended up believing that.
Okay.
And I ended up behaving like that. And it took me to go to the Philippines to slaughter chickens with my own hands for I don't know how many hours, for how many weeks, for how many years. I mean, to do very physical things. It took me to learn to connect, to feel emotions, to actually realize that this was not me. Yes, I do like intellectual matter, but also like physical matter. I like connection. And I think what I discovered by myself is this, that I live by others and for others. I can't sustain myself on my own. That's for sure. And I'm fine with that because that's what makes us great. I mean, it's the fact that we're connected to others, I believe that makes us great, not the fact that we can stand without anybody's help. I think this is where the greatest of being human beings is to be found, is that we are interconnected,
Yeah.
interdependent.
Yeah.
But we stand on our own,
Of course.
in the sense that we don't need others to prevent us from falling, but others allow us to rise.
And it took you a travel
Yeah.
half across the world to discover that.
Yeah.
Do you miss your hometown?
I have sometimes like reminders of things that I miss. But fundamentally, no. In the sense that I feel like my hometown is in everything I am now, and I carry it with me.
Uh-huh.
And all the people that I am close to, I'm actually closer to them now, I believe, than ever before.
Okay.
Because I've found also myself.
Okay.
And in that process, it brings them closer to me, it brings me closer to them, because I realize that I need them and they need me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish I didn't have to go maybe that far.
Okay.
But the fact is, maybe we have to accept also that at a certain point we need to get out of the box to see it, to get rid of it, and to reconnect. And that was the process that happened to me. And it's still ongoing because it's not just about the physical distance, but it's about once you've seen the challenge, oh, that's how I've been. These are the prejudices I had in my mind.
Okay.
Is making the conscious decision of breaking them down. So it took me halfway the globe, half across the globe to see the box.
Okay.
It took me to be mentored by the GK leaders and the work of GK and the farmers and the Filipinos to accept, to address that box that I had seen. And then it took me, I think the relationship with everyone I have around me, whether it's my family, the interns and volunteers I work with, my fellow co-workers, to rebuild. Okay, now that I've got rid of the box, then what do I define me? How do I define me? And which role do I want to take? Make sense?
Yeah, it's actually,
I hadn't thought about it before.
Yeah, no, it's
scary
actually
role.
profound, and I'm actually bleeding in my head right now. I'm just kidding about it. Well, I'm glad that you're discovering that. Other than the fact that the people here are very warm and receptive, don't you think that's another factor why you like it here?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's to be very honest. I don't think it could have worked for me in a different country in South Asia, for example, just to take Asia.
Yeah.
Because the fact is, you have a culture that is, I believe, at least for the French, easy to connect with. Yes, our sense of humor is different. A lot of things are different.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, you have this warmth that I personally connect a lot with.
Okay.
I love to just be able to knock at the door, and just get inside the living room and start to play with the daughter of my foster mother in the community, even if my foster mother is out.
And everybody's
And
fine
just
with
help
that.
myself get a coffee and just watch TV. Everybody's
Yeah.
fine with that.
Okay.
And I personally love that. And I love that warmth. But it's also important to understand that this is not the only thing that the Filipinos have to offer. We always talk about the smile of the Filipinos, the warmth. Yes, but any tourist gets it. But I wish Filipinos can see that they have much more to teach us.
Mm-hmm. So
That's about understanding that, as you were saying earlier,
Yeah.
that we are interdependent.
what do you love most about the people in the country? What's your favorite food here?
I'm a bit biased. I like native chicken. And
You like
sinampalokan or
Sinampalokan.
sinampalokan or tinola or ginataang manok.
There's none like that in France, so you'll probably stay here
wala.
just for that.
Yeah. I mean, if it was just for that. That's the thing. When I'm here, I don't want to eat French food or European food. And when I'm there, I don't want to eat Filipino food. But it's fine. It's about taking what I have now.
Other than the hospitality and the warmth, what other qualities of the Filipinos or characteristics do you like?
I was mentioning a bit earlier the selflessness.
Mm.
It's something that I see all the time. In the sense that, I mean, we have countless stories of people that have sacrificed so much for sometimes just to fund the schooling of a remote cousin that they barely know. Like just in the farm, we have a Tita Tess who started her own social enterprise of peanut brittle. And she works so hard because on top of that, she works for our kitchen and she raises pigs. And she has 3 kids. 3? Yeah, 3. And
Multiple livelihoods, yeah.
and at the same time, the profit she has, she gives it to the neighbor to pay the medicine bill, the hospital bill. So these are everyday heroes, selfless heroes who live on not much, but are so resourceful and so grateful of what they have. And at the same time, so connected to others and selfless that they become capable of wonders without much.
Mm-hmm.
And that made us reflect like, okay, so it means that with all we have, we could do also wonders.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, sometimes when I see our SEED students, our scholars in SEED, in GK Enchanted Farm, which is a school that we've started to to train social entrepreneurs from the bottom of the pyramid, you see those kids have such a hunger to succeed for others that make you realize that, what if I had that same hunger to succeed? I mean, to make things change.
That's true.
Because if they don't change anything, there's nothing waiting for them. If I don't change anything, I'll still find a job because of my education, because where I come from, I'll be fine. They have no choice but to challenge the way things are done. But I want to be like them, because otherwise I'll never do anything great. And I think that's what motivates me every day.
Wow. So what's the game plan for Louis in the next 5 years? Are you going to stay further in the Philippines?
That is for sure. That is for sure, because came a point recently where it was not anymore about choosing whether I stay here for a few years, whether I go here, whether I go there. It was a form of acceptance of what was obvious, what was there. That it was love for this country. That goes beyond the warmth of the Filipinos. But is it really about like feeling that I have something to do here, and this place has something for me as well? Not just, I can't describe it much more than that, I guess.
Okay.
It's still quite raw. But that's something I feel right now. So in 5 years, I'll still be here. Now, how will my purpose take form? What kind of every day I will have? I don't know. The fact is, one thing I know for sure is I'll still be on this mission that will be, I think at that time, even more refined. I'll still be in this country, and I'll know even more why. And then, let's see what shape it's going to take. But these are my guidelines.
And how about the enterprising venture on the farm? How are you taking that forward?
So, for now, we just, again, decided to start this new department of training and development to convert what we've been doing before informally into something a bit more systematic that can also have reach greater impact. Now where this is going to lead us, we don't know yet. It might become an entity in its own that I'll be running in partnership with GK. Maybe not, maybe it might remain a department of the farm. I might evolve into branching out to doing other things and then connecting with GK somehow. I don't know. There's many options, I guess.
Okay. But certainly it's going to be here in the Philippines.
Certainly.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
If you have any message, I mean, you are inspiring in so many ways. I mean, I rarely meet, there's a lot of them, a handful, but I rarely meet somebody who would talk profoundly about their purpose and their mission and how they would like to move forward in connecting and networking with people. And you're definitely one of them. And you're at the young age of, how old are you, Louis?
I'm 25.
You're 25, he's 25 years old, and single. That's good. And the thing about that is that you are definitely speaking to a generation that may be seeking the same thing: impact, authenticity, meaning, and purpose. What's your message to the young generation who's listening, not just in the Philippines, but we're live online. We could be watched anywhere.
I would say the message would be to be able to be very honest with ourselves and don't lie to ourselves when we make a choice. Do we really go into this direction because this is what we deeply want? Are we at peace with that choice? Is there an ounce of fear?
An ounce of fear.
An ounce of fear.
Okay.
And I think that would be, for me, my main message. Not go into something when the choice comes from fear. It should come from peace. And be at peace with the fact that the decision will come at the right time. We don't have to rush.
Okay.
We don't have to make decisions right now until we find this peace.
I love that, to make choices and decisions not out of fear, but out of peace.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's essentially what you've done. I mean, and that's the reason why you're half across the globe, being here and doing what you think you would love to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being here for 3 years, you probably can speak a few Tagalog words already, right? Can you?
Apo.
Kausapin mo nga ako yung Tagalog.
Sige. Anong gusto niyo malaman?
Anong message mo sa mga Pilipino nakikinig ngayon?
Yun, ang sinabi ko ngayon. Na sana, pag meron kami iba-ibang option, kung kailangan na piliin na option A or option B, dapat tingin natin kung saan galing ang dahilan. Galing ba sa, ano tawag dyan? Katakutan? No.
Galing sa
Takot?
takot?
Galing sa takot?
O saan ka kinakabahan?
Kung saan ka kinakabahan, ganyan. Like me right now. Or kung if it comes from a place of peace, paano ba sabihin?
Kapayapaan?
Kapayapaan, okay. O kung galing sa kapayapaan. Yan na lang.
You basically just translate what you said a while
Yes.
ago.
Para mas madali.
Do you have any special message to anybody out there? Your friends, people from Angat, Bulacan?
Yeah. Obviously, all our friends in GK Enchanted Farm, all our team with Sid, our mentors like Awi, our friends like the SID students, We have so many of them, countless of those guys who are my everyday heroes and my everyday mentors.
Yeah, but you are truly inspiring. Thank you for taking time to talk to us and sharing your journey from Paris to Bulacan. This Frenchman have decided to stay and help the Filipino people move forward in progress, but not just in progress, not just in prosperity, but also in peace. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for
so
being in
much.
Rappler Talk.
Thank you, Boris. Thank you so much.